Alright guys, we're going to get started. Welcome to Full Stack Academy's Bootcamp Prep. Right? Thank you. So, my name is Marco, and I'm one of two instructors, okay? There's another person that will be your instructor, and we alternate every day. His name is David, who will be here tomorrow and Thursday. I'll be here Mondays and Wednesdays, okay? So, a little bit about me. I went to Full Stack, I graduated April 2018, okay? Before that, I was doing construction and working in a warehouse. Now I'm a front-end software engineer at New York Life Ventures. So that's pretty cool. It's a cool change of life. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions about like my personal life as a developer, like, feel free to ask me whatever you want. So yeah, here's the Wi-Fi and the password in case you guys haven't seen it already. Bathrooms are, men's room is right here. It's the third door on the left, and the women's room is on the other, like directly across on the other side of this. It's like straight, make a left, and then a left, and you'll see it. Okay? Are there any questions before I get started? Just gonna today's gonna be a late day. Just gonna talk about the structure of the bootcamp prep course, and then we're gonna take a little bit. We're gonna look a little bit at tidy code. Okay? So stop me at any time if you guys have any questions. All right. Sick. All right. Welcome to Bootcamp Prep. So this is the full course. Okay. This is the overview. So today it's just a little introduction. We're going to be talking about tidy code and why it's important. Okay. And then we'll do loops and debugging, coercion and truthiness, scope, arrays, objects, yada yada yada. It's okay if you don't know what any of this stuff means yet. It's fine. Okay. But this is just how it'll be structured. Okay. And it's going to be the same thing every day. I'll start off, me and then the other guy, David, we're going to start off with a lecture for, I guess, half of the allotted time, and then you guys will split up and do workshops, okay? And I'll explain that in a second. But this is essentially what the overview is. So, before the end of like the week, right? I will put all of the lectures for next week each day into pre-reading, right? Into pre-reading mode. That means there's going to be a video for you guys to watch. I highly, highly recommend you watch them, just so you know a little bit of what's going to come the next day for class, okay? If you don't have time, if you have guys who are working, it's fine, don't worry about it. Try to watch them when you can on the weekend, I guess, but it's definitely recommended, if time permits. And then you guys are going to definitely have to attend the interactive lecture, which is me talking at you, okay, for like a little bit. That's required, and it's also required to work on the workshop that follows directly after the lecture with a partner that will be randomly assigned to you. And I'll go over that structure in like 5 minutes. And then you're going to watch workshop review videos and compare your answers with the provided solutions, okay? You'll probably end up doing this when you go home, like on your own time. Strongly recommended because the solutions you may come up with for the questions probably won't be the neatest and best way to solve the problem. So definitely watch the solution video because they'll go over like how they're solving the questions, okay? Basic structure. Any questions? Okay. So workshops are not intended to be finished, okay? This is true for bootcamp prep. This is also true for the actual bootcamp. It follows the same structure, the actual bootcamp. You get partners and you work on workshops. And they're hard. They're not intended to be finished, okay? So don't stress about it if you don't get it done in the time, okay? It's fine. Don't stress about it. That's the most important thing, okay? So yeah, I'm going to randomly pair you guys with each other, and then you'll probably work with a different partner or a small team for each workshop, depending on if there's an odd or even number. It would be like one group of 3. And then instructors are available via the help desk. When you get to the workshop, there will be a little blue question mark on LearnDown, okay? You click that, you say, hey, I need help with this, I'm at table, there's numbers on your tables, I'm at table this. And then I will come over and help you. Or there's like some fellows somewhere around here that are also assisting in case I'm helping somebody else and there's 3 other people with questions, okay? So always put it in the help desk because if I'm busy, you can still get help. There's other people with you, okay? Just they're not in the room right now. Any questions? You guys sure? All right. Oh yeah, go to settings and update picture on LearnDot if you can. So when you guys put it on the help desk, we know who you are. If you want to. If you're not comfortable with it, don't worry about it. But it will help. So pair programming. These workshops are designed for pair programming. Pair programming is basically 2 programmers, and then one person is a driver and one person is a navigator, right? The driver is the person that is typing on the keyboard, right? You work on one computer, so the driver is the person that types. The navigator is supposed to be telling that person exactly what to write down. They are navigating the solution, and the driver is actually writing the solution, okay? And then you switch every 10 minutes or switch every problem. You and your partner can find a grace, guys can agree on something, how to switch amongst yourselves, okay? But this is important that you follow this philosophy, the driver and navigator. That's how you guys will learn. At Full Stack, you switch partners for every workshop. Bless. Any questions about pair programming? Yeah.
So does the navigator tell the driver word by word?
No. Okay. So the navigator does not say type this key, the W, then the H, and then the A, and then the T. No. You say conceptually what you want them to do. And then the drivers should understand what you're saying. And maybe one person's bad at explaining, one person's bad at understanding. You guys will find common ground, and then you can reach over and help them. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But don't tell them exactly what to do. Just kind of say okay, well now we're going to do this. But the better you get at explaining your code, the more successful you will be as an engineer. Explaining your code to other people is extremely important. It's extremely important, okay? Any other questions? Cool. So why pair programming, right? Some of you people, some people have come up to me in the past and been like, why don't I gotta work with a partner? I learn better on my own. It doesn't matter. Pair programming is actually very, very good, and Full Stack embraces the teach to learn philosophy, okay? Everybody here is coming from different backgrounds. Some people might be ex-computer science majors or even ex-engineers. Some people might have just never even looked at code in their lives, Everybody's coming from different backgrounds. So maybe if you are a lot better than the person that you're working with, and they're still having a problem, deciphering what you're trying to tell them, you know that you have something you need to work on. If you can't relay your thoughts to other people, how can you ever succeed? Especially in engineering. You can't, right? So this is a great way to work on concepts and team building, I guess, teamwork, You have to relay your thoughts to other people. And the more you explain these complex concepts to others, it'll strengthen yourself too. So if you're a little bit new to all this, as you talk out loud, as you're talking through what you want your partner to be doing, then you yourself will grow as well. That makes sense, right? Does anyone disagree with me? Cool. Yeah, communicating about code is just as, if not more important than actually write about it. Think about it. When you go on a job interview, if you want an engineering job, or if you're on the job, you have an engineering job. If you can't explain to people what you're thinking and what you wrote, you won't get the job, or you will be fired. So that's simple. You can't just say, well, I wrote this code, it's right, You have to explain your reasoning, because other people might not see what you were trying to get at, and it's important. Solving problems with a partner is the best way to prepare for an admissions interview at a top boot camp. Not only boot camps, interviews for actual jobs. When you go on interviews for engineering, they're going to ask you to solve problems, and they're going to want to work with you. They want to see how you work with other people, because you're not really going to find a job where you work alone, unless it's like a remote gig and you're kind of on your own. I don't know. But if you want a job at an actual company, you will be on a team. So they want to see how you work with other people. Okay? So you will be in interviews. You will be working with your interviewer. Most top boot camps and a growing number of employers use pair programming every day. This is true. I pair with some team members on the job when we're tackling like really tough stuff sometimes. Am I talking too quickly? Is everyone okay? Does everyone understand the importance of pair programming? Sick. All right. Now we're going to do an icebreaker. We are going to stand up. No, not everyone. One person will stand up and they will say their name and where they're from and why you're here. And an interesting fact about yourself. Okay? I will start. My name is Marco. I'm from Long Island. My accent is fooled you. I'm here because it's my job. And interesting fact about myself, I collect records. It's not that interesting. Okay? You guys ready? You guys like icebreakers? They're fun, right? You start.
Hi, I'm Marika. I am originally from Arizona, but I live here now. And I'm here because I would like to try and get into boot camp. And I use a spinning wheel to spin in the arm.
So,
Hi, I'm Travis Becker. I am from California originally. I got into this bootcamp prep to maybe start
Hi, Laura. I'm from Vietnam. I'm here because I just want to learn and see if I want to pursue caregivers. And I just practice maybe that I just got about it, but we can. She's also a terrier mix. But I guess I enjoy working.
Hi, I'm Manny. I'm originally from Pomona, California. I'm here because I learn better in custom settings. And an interesting fact, I am currently working in the Rockettes custom shop.
Hi, I'm Alina. I'm originally from Ukraine. I'm here already 5 years, planning to stay. I'm software engineer test or virtualization test in JavaScript, but that's not enough to become a software engineer just without the test. So I'm here to learn it. And interesting fact about me, I've been to Burning Man and I'm survived.
Hello, my name is Bernard from Queens, New York. Here to hopefully achieve goals in life. Interesting fact about me is I self-taught myself how to do self-repairs, that type of things.
Ukraine. Very careful so I'm here at planning, so I'm planning to go to boot camp, so colleges, maybe into education, something with finance, but thank you.
That wasn't so bad, right? You guys are going to be working together for a month, so I'm going to be working without each other. Who can answer a cool idea? Help me out. I don't know. If you're still on the fence about it. Right, so there's going to be 2 projects, okay? And they're 160% optional. Don't have to do them. But I really recommend you do, okay? They're optional, so you don't have to, but I recommend you do because they're a little bit harder, right? They're harder questions. You're going to be building like a little bit more complex and bigger like solutions. So it's extra practice, and I think that you all should do them both, okay? But once again, you don't need to, but I recommend it. Okay, so now practice assessments. So imagine that this is the last day of the class, right? What you guys will have is one practice assessment, okay? It's going to be in a different thing, called a different like environment called HackerRank, okay? And it will be the entirety of the class. And if you get everything right or everything wrong, it doesn't matter. Full Stack will not look at that at all, even if you do amazing, okay? And that is in class here. And that is practice assessment 1. Practice assessment 2 is going to be released after you guys leave on your last day. And you will have, I think, like 5 or 6 days to complete that on your own time, okay? That one is a little different. If you pass that test, if you do well, you will go on to the second round of interviews for Full Stack. And the second round of interviews for Full Stack will be a video chat coding test, okay? And you'll probably have like 3 or 4 questions or something, okay? If you fail, chill. It's okay. Because you can still apply the regular way through the website, okay? Going through bootcamp prep gives you these like 3 opportunities, right? The first one isn't really an opportunity, but it sets you up with like, gives you a little bit of, lets you familiarize yourself with the environment of HackerRank, which could throw people off, you know? It's fine. And it'll give you a little bit of familiarity, like how it's going to be, okay? And then the second one is pass, grade, fail, it's okay, all right? Any questions on that? Yeah. Say it again. No, this is all the same thing. I'm pretty sure. I think like.
I heard the same.
No. I think like either in this assessment or the second like round, you like pick if you want to go into Grace Hopper. Grace Hopper is just for women. All you guys, we're talking about. It's just for women. But yeah, you like have an option, I think. Any other questions? This makes sense, right? This structure. It's nothing tricky. And if you have any questions throughout like the boot camp, just Slack me or talk to me or whatever, okay? Don't worry about it. So, we got to go over some values, some community values, like full stack community values. You got to be patient, not only with other people, but also with yourself, okay? Don't if you can't get a problem, don't scream and smash your head against the wall. Relax, it's okay. Everybody has trouble with this stuff. You know why? Because computer science is kind of hard, okay? It's kind of hard. It's not really like anything else, okay? It's different if you've never seen it before. So chill with yourself. And if somebody else that you're working with really doesn't get it, don't get mad at them, okay? They're trying just as hard as you are. So relax. Be a normal person. Be mellow, okay? Ask questions, even stupid ones, okay? When I went through the boot camp, I asked the stupidest questions because I didn't understand anything, okay? Because I didn't come from a computer science background. So everything was really new to me. I didn't get anything. But you'll never get anywhere if you don't ask questions. If you just keep the questions in yourself and try and figure out the answers in your head, you'll never know if they're right or not. So just ask them, even if you think they're stupid. You could ask me, you could ask your partner, you could ask someone else in the building, it doesn't matter, okay? You guys gotta trust the process. That's like a saying we have in full stack. Because kind of nothing really makes sense until it all makes sense. So just trust the process, okay? Also be on time. I'm gonna start talking at 6:40. I mean, between you and me, I don't really care if somebody walks in while I'm talking. I don't feel offended or something like that. But just be on time because I don't want you guys to miss out anything that I'm saying, okay? Also, if you have to leave after the lecture and let's say you have something, I don't know, you need to do something and you can't make the workshop, just let me know, okay? Just let me know. It's cool, don't worry about it, but just let me know, okay? Be mindful of the subtle isms, anything you might say might have to be sexism or racism or ageism, or, there's a no asshole policy. Honestly, just be a respectful and normal person, okay? Don't be you know what I mean? I feel like I shouldn't have to explain this to you guys, okay? Just be courteous to everybody else. Everybody comes from different backgrounds. Don't be an asshole, or else you won't be able to get into full stack. You know what I mean? All right. You are each other's most valuable resource. That is true. It's so much better to learn when you're struggling with somebody who also knows nothing. It's nice, okay? It sucks and it's hard and you get stressed and you hate yourself, but it's fine because at the end, the product, you will learn much more better, okay? You will learn more because you will never forget that struggle, okay? No, not suitable for work content. You guys aren't babies. I don't have to go through this, okay? But ask questions if you have any questions. Any questions? Does anyone disagree with the community values? Okay. So, why does full stack teach JavaScript? JavaScript is the most popular language in the world. Pretty sure that's true. Anything that could be written in JavaScript eventually probably will be written in JavaScript. It's great on the front end, and ever since the introduction of something called Node, JavaScript can also be used on the back end, okay? So this is full stack's curriculum. They teach you JavaScript mainly, which is what you will only be working with in this course, and we'll also cover HTML, CSS, and a little bit of SQL. Okay? Ruby is also great for beginners, but it's much less widely used. This is true. Any questions? Yeah. Yes. React is say like a little bit before the midway point. Don't worry about React right now, but it's React is a framework for front end, which is very, very popular. Okay. So why is JavaScript so popular? It powers the majority of web applications. Okay. Oh, this guy said this. Anything that can be written in JavaScript will eventually be written in JavaScript. And it runs almost anywhere on the full stack, web browsers and servers, which is a very powerful thing, you know? If you know one language, you can build an application from the back to the front. The first 7 out of 10s of JavaScript is relatively learner-friendly. It's true. Okay? ES5, ESNext. Okay, so ES5 and ESNext, or ES6, are different versions of JavaScript. There's slight subtle differences, but everything that you did in ES5 can also be used in ESNext, okay? But everything in ESNext isn't always compatible with like old web browsers, okay? Does that make sense? It's like, ES6 is backwards compatible, pretty much, okay? So like, you can declare a function like this using the function keyword, but you can also do open close parentheses equals greater than, which this is what we call a fat arrow, and then open close curly braces. This is also a function. Okay, you'll see that like throughout the lecture, throughout the course. So I'm probably going to write all of my functions like that. Older features work in newer environments, but newer features may not work in older environments. Full Stack teaches ESNet. Full Stack is constantly changing its curriculum to be like up with the current things that are coming out, okay? As developers, as engineers, once you're done with Full Stack, you also have to be on your guard too, because things are constantly changing within your program. They just are. Any questions on what ES6 is? ESNext? ES5? Yeah.
ESNext and ES6 the same thing.
I think so, yeah. I say ES6. Yeah. The restroom is straight down here, third door on the left.
And I just want to make sure this is boot camp prep, right? Okay. So I went to like I went to the home room.
My bad. Cool. Bootcamp Prep program covers some newer features too, but only those that are helpful for beginning developers. Don't expect in-depth or comprehensive coverage of new JavaScript features in this course, okay? If you have something... Look, I said ask questions like crazy, right? But if you have something that you think is like way too next level, like really in-depth, ask me privately, okay? But I will always try to, or just yell it out, and I'll tell you if it's too in-depth, okay? And I'll try to answer it. But I'm not perfect, so I might have to look it up. Any questions? You guys sure? Okay. How to get the most from this course. So, complete the Bootcamp Prep pre-work curriculum first. That was that thing you guys had to do before today, right? I hope everyone did it. Whatever. Do the pre-readings and watch the pre-recorded lectures. Like I said, if you're working a full-time job, you have a family, whatever. I don't know what your business is. Your business is your business. If you don't have time for this, it's fine, but it will help you. So I recommend doing it, even if, like, let's say you go through the whole week and you didn't do one thing. Just go watch all the videos on the weekend, on a Sunday or something, if you have time. Just do it at least once. Just look through it. Because it's just material, and it's just going to help. This can't not help you. It is going to help you, okay? Enjoy the productive struggle. This is going to be hard, but try to enjoy the fact that you're facing a difficult task that can completely alter your life in a really big way. If you think about this hard enough, this is true, okay? It's a big deal. Like, some of you people are like, switching careers entirely, It's a big deal. Full stack's like a lot of money, It's kind of a big commitment. But enjoy that. You're doing something to, like, I don't know, better yourselves. Or just see if you like it. I don't know. Just enjoy it. Ask for help when you need it. Otherwise, why are you here? That's what I said. Don't look at the solutions until you give problems an honest try. There's always going to be some guy or some girl or something that just like reads a question, gets stressed out, and doesn't even try to solve it. You have to try to solve it as hard as you can. Okay? Because if you just read solutions, you're never going to get better. You're never going to figure out on your own. Okay? You're just going to know the solutions. And programming is all about learning how to solve things, not learning how to look up solutions. Okay? Go back to unfinished workshop problems and finish them when time permits. I 100% agree with this. If you have time on the weekend and you didn't get to some problems, do them. And if you did all of them and you still have time, go back and do everything again. Because practice makes perfect. Or practice makes permanent, however you want to say. But I highly recommend, if you don't get to a workshop in class, do it later, okay? On the weekend, when you get home, whatever. Just make sure you give everything a try, because that's how you'll get the most out of it. I can't tell you what to do, though, so, do what you want. But I'm just saying I recommend it, all right? Watch the solution videos, even for problems you think you got right. Just do that, okay? Just watch the solution videos, because they cannot hurt you. They can't harm you. The only thing they can do is help you, okay? So I really recommend doing that. But you're your own person, so I can't tell you what to do. But I'm just saying. Also review the solution code. Any questions? Any questions? Yeah. I'm going to be real with you. I've never watched the pre-work solution videos, so I don't know what you're talking about. We can definitely go over it later if you want. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at that later if you want. But yeah. Everyone good? Okay, so now we're going to start, any questions about the structure. You can ask me questions about the structure of the course whenever you want, okay? Whenever. But now we're going to start talking about code. Is everyone okay with that? After I'm done talking about code, I'm going to give you guys a 5-minute break to go to the bathroom or do whatever you want to do. And then I'm going to pair you up, and you're going to start your first workshop. Today's workshop is kind of easy, okay? Some of you might think it's really easy and a waste of your time. It's just like the first day. It's just telling you the importance of tidy code. But when you're done with your workshop, you can leave, okay? You don't have to stay here until 9:40. If you finish super quickly, you can just leave. Does everyone understand? And this is the only easy day, okay? So tomorrow is pretty easy. All right, tiny code tips. Why write tidy code? It's easier and faster to debug and read your code. Engineers spend a lot more time reading and debugging code than actually writing it. This is true. 100% true. You will spend most of your time trying to fix sloppy code that you wrote previously than you do actually writing and making new features. That's just how it is. It's how it's always been. Because we're making complicated applications and everything is kind of nested within it. I don't know, it's weird. But when you write code in a very tidy way, it is easier for you and other people to debug your code, okay? If it's sloppy, it's hard. And it demonstrates qualities attractive to boot camps and employers. It demonstrates professionalism. You're no longer a beginner, okay? And attention to detail and pride in your work. Any questions on why that's important? It's like if you went to a job interview and both shoes were untied and your shirt was open and you were wearing a baseball hat, and you were interviewing at like a bank or something, It's just unprofessional, and it shows that you're a sloppy person, okay? The same thing can be done with your code. You wouldn't write an essay with no punctuation, because why Any questions? This is gonna like tidy code just sounds annoying, but it's really important. Okay, try to make it a habit before it's not. Does that make sense? So the first thing about tidy code will be indentation. You indent one line, one level inside every code block. Okay, code blocks start with a curly brace, an opening curly brace, and ends with a closing curly brace. Right? So everything inside of these two things, is a code block. So, here we have a function, and its name is amazing function. Then you have these two open and close parentheses, because that's how you write a function using the function keyword, right? Then you have an open curly brace. So, when you see the open curly brace, that means everything underneath that will be tabbed once, indented once, okay? So you see the if is not in line with the f. The if is in line here, because it's tabbed over once. This is a conditional statement called an if statement, okay? Forgive me if you already know this. I'm just going to go over line by line so nobody's lost, okay? I really don't want anybody to get lost. So if, open, close, true, right? That means everything inside of that if statement will be reached, okay? If this was false, this would be skipped, right? But you see, an if, just like a function, at the end of the function, it has the open, closed parentheses, right? And then it has a curly brace. That means we're in another code block. So everything inside of this will be indented, tabbed over once more, okay? So the console.log is not in line with that if. And then the closing curly brace is in line with where the open one was, where that started, okay? It starts with the if, right? So the closing curly brace should be in line here. Most code editors will do this for you, okay? But this is important. And then you see down here, you guys see this closing curly brace here. It's kind of hidden by the black screen. But it's here, and it's in line with the f in function, okay? And then, underneath that, we're just outside of the entire function block. Is anybody confused? This isn't that bad, right? It's just indented. When you see an open curly brace, everything under it will be one step over. And if you see another one, everything will be one step over again. And then the closing one should be here, and the closing one should be here. Wherever that line, the open one, was at, wherever that line starts, that's where the closing curly brace should be. If this function had like 10 if statements, a bunch of for loops, stuff like that, maybe another function in it, and it had a bunch of blocks, and your code was really untidy, and then you by accidentally deleted one in the middle, the entire thing would not work, it would never run, and it would be very, very hard to find out where it's missing, okay? Because it wouldn't be tidy. This, you can see what is inside of what, where everything should be closed. Does everyone understand why that's important? Because if you delete, everything is like in preparation for if something breaks. If you delete something, you will know where that thing should be. Or if you have an extra one, or something like that, okay? Yeah.
What if both ends were side by side, same line?
That's not tidy code, right? Like you can put this one here, but that's not neat, right? That's not like, yeah, it will work. It won't throw an error for sure. All of this can be in one line. But like, why would you do, you know what I mean? Like it would look terrible. It'd be hard to read. This way it's easy to read. New lines with the curly braces, okay? Curly braces should always go on a new line. Cool? 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 Right. So then, down here, we say amazing function. We already defined amazing function here, but here was doing another open close parentheses. This is what we call invoking, We invoke this function. We call this function. When we call a function, the function runs. Let's see what happens when this function runs. JavaScript, the computer says, okay, where's amazing function? It needs to be called. So we call it, and we find it here. We go down. If true. True is true. The thing inside of the if statement has to be a truthy statement. And we'll talk about truthiness on Wednesday. I'll be here for that. But if it is truthy, we go inside of it and run the code. And we console.log, this function is amazing. And you see that in the terminal. Yeah?
Why would you have a if statement that says if true, it'll always run, right?
Yes.
I mean, why have an if statement that always runs?
Because this is just an example for indentation.
Got
That is why. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't really ever do that. Usually these things would be based on outer variables somewhere and like depending on what they are. But yeah. Yeah. Well, if the console log wasn't there, then you would see nothing in the console. You wouldn't see this function is amazing.
That's because we're coding this using the web development tools on browser, right? If you're coding this for a web page,
If you're trying to return a value, nothing will be returned.
It's more of a test to see if you went through that function.
Yeah, it's more like console logging. So,
you could write return equals.
well, right, but then you get a value. Here we get nothing. In JavaScript, if you don't write the return keyword in any part of your function, the function will implicitly return undefined. And undefined is a value, and it's usually a wrong value that you don't want ever. Okay? Console log returns nothing. It's like, if any of you are familiar with Python, it's like print. Okay? It just prints something in the terminal for humans to read. It's used for testing code, it's used for debugging code. That's what I use it for. If you're writing something, hey, this is a variable that's based off of something that's coming from somewhere else, I want to see what that variable actually is at this point in time, so I'm going to console log it. Okay? You don't actually get anything from this. This is a very basic example that's meant for nothing, that is supposed to be meant for indentation. Okay? So don't like try not to make sense of why it's like if true and why it's not returning. Okay? Okay? Cool. Yeah.
Just in general, I guess not so much about indentation. Going with the question,
Yeah.
why do we use console log? Like, can we just use return? Isn't it a waste of space and time to use console log?
You would not put console log in production code, right? You would only do it when you're developing, so you can see at what point something is something else. If you do return in somewhere in the code, the function just stops running, right? Yes, 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 yes. If you put a return statement in anywhere in your code, anywhere in the function stops running. The loop stops running. Everything stops. What is after the return is what that function gets. Okay. So like if you were like debugging like a loop, which you guys will go over tomorrow, you would want to see, and like let's say your code is breaking, the loop is breaking somewhere, and you want to see what point in time that breaks. If you just do a return statement, it will only run once, and you'll get whatever that is. Whereas a console log, it'll print out in the terminal every time. And you'll see tomorrow. Like console log, when in doubt, console log. If you don't know what's going on, try to console log and see what's going on in different places in your code. Okay? Any questions? Any questions? Yeah.
If you didn't have a console log in production code, would it break it?
No. It's just unprofessional. Like imagine you were on like Airbnb and you opened up your DevTools and you said, "Hello, this is a test" in the console. It's just unprofessional. You know? Also, usually you're console logging like your data. It'd be bad if you were to console log by accident somebody's personal data production. Okay? Social Security. Any other questions? Console log is your friend. So, enough about indentation. Let's talk about variable naming, okay? So, unlike other, can't remember what Ruby does, but I know Python does snake case. Camel case is how you name variables in JavaScript. Everything is in camel case. Camel case means that the start of every word is lowercase, but if it's multiple words, the start of those following words will be capitalized, like this, my favorite place. My is one word, obviously. Naming variables is for humans, okay? So this is for other people to read. And if this was all lowercase, then it'd be harder to read. But my favorite place with the F and P being capitalized makes it easier to read, right? This is like basic 101 JavaScript, okay? That's how it is. Camel case. Don't use ambiguous variable names. Because when you say let x equal 68, right? What if that x is being used in the 200 lines of code below it, and then you're kind of like, what the hell is x all the way down here interacting with all these things? Like, what if this was x, right? You wouldn't know that this is like a place. So we name it my favorite place. So we know that this is probably a string and it's probably the name of something, okay? Whereas x is ambiguous. Use names that describe the value they contain. Let current temp, 68. So the current temperature will be 68, right? It's okay to use short variable names as counters, like I in a for loop. We'll talk about for loops tomorrow with David, the other instructor. But anyways, this is basically how a for loop looks. So in every programming language, there's keywords. For is a keyword, okay? You can't name variables that you're creating keywords. You can't name a variable return, if, for, function, while, whatever, break, whatever, continue, whatever. You can't, okay? Because they have specific meanings in JavaScript, okay? So for is one of those things. Let's JavaScript know that you're about to define a for loop. So you say let I. What do you think I means? Index and also iterate. Okay, so I is usually common. It might sound like a random letter to you guys, but like I is actually very useful in some cases. Like, I don't know. Well, let I equal 1. This loop will continue for as long as I is less than or equal to 3, and at the end of every single loop, we will increment I by 1. I++ is shorthand for that, okay? And then every single time, we will console log what I is. So you got 1, 2, 3. And once it's 3, we console log 3 here, then at the end, I is incremented again, so I is 4, but 4 is not less than or equal to 3. 4 is greater than 3. So the for loop breaks. We'll talk about this more tomorrow, but any questions? Any questions? Yeah.
I noticed that now with the variables, they use let or const.
Yeah.
You have to use that?
Well, there's 3 ways to define variables in JavaScript. You can use var, let, or const. Don't use var. Not anymore. Not anymore. Thank you, EF6. Don't use var. var is bad, because var ignores block scope. You'll talk about scope on Thursday. But let is kind of the same thing as var, but it doesn't ignore block scope. And const is another way to declare a variable. But if you say, like, let's say you see here, it's like let I equal 1, and then you're setting I equal to something else. If this was a const, you can't reassign something that's a const. It can't be a different value. No. No. You can have a let variable in the global scope, but you can still reassign it. Const, if something is const, you can't say, okay, this is equal to this thing. Don't worry about the word global yet, okay? You'll worry about that on Thursday. Any other questions? Nothing? All right. Oh, shit. That was that. Real quick, I'm going to show you guys something, okay? If you want to practice on your own, go to REPL.it. You see that? Oh, shit. It's right here. And then you can make your own REPL, and you'll end up in something like this. This is what I had before, remember? And here, you will have your own terminal on the side. So if you wanted to see what I mean, const example equals hello there. And then I say example is now going to be equal to goodbye. And you try and console log what example is, you get a type error. Assignment to constant variable. You get an error. These are errors, okay? REPL is a great way to mess around with code, to see what things do, which I highly, highly recommend you guys do, okay? Try and make things work on your own, you know? Like, if you're, like, curious about something, go to REPL, console log things, and see what their values are, you know? REPL's cool. Cool. Yeah. REPL.it. It's an online code editor, and you could run whatever you want. You could press run here. If you have a Mac, it's Command Enter. Windows is probably Control Enter. I don't know. I don't use Windows. But yeah. Any questions before you guys take like a 5-minute break and then do the workshop? All right. In like at like 7:40, I will Slack out pairs for your workshop. Okay. So go take a break.